Live.
An off day for the Rangers. That gives us plenty of time to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. In some ways, that qualifies as the bad and the ugly. The offense. We'll talk lots about that over the course of the program as we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Me, John Radigan, Jeff Wilson there. We've got Elijah Smith, the prophet, over there. And we appreciate you being here with us to celebrate your lunch hour, a belated lunch hour with us. Hang out, chat, like, subscribe. Do all those things that you do for us, and we'd appreciate it very much as we talk lots of Rangers baseball for you. The bad and ugly still to come. But you start with, Jeff, what is the best pitching staff in baseball right now?
All right, well, let's start with the positives.
Yeah.
And man, it's as surprising as it is positive, I'd say. I think the bullpen has really done great work. The rotation, the rotation has a chance to get better.
Yeah.
As the year goes along, they're doing this right now in the rotation with two rookies and without John Gray and Cody Bradford. So in theory, this has a chance to be sustainable and get better with DeGrom getting better, with Evaldi, and Tyler Mahle being the best pitcher on the planet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And Rocker had the good start the other night, so everything's trending the right way. Leiter's got his
Leiter's coming back.
Sound like that.
Prophet, are you seeing the chat?
I am. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, he's trying to figure that out, everybody. It sounds
I'm
like
going to take over here.
It sounds like I'm talking in a tin can. I usually talk loud enough that you can hear me without the microphone. So that's
Well, we're working on it, and in the meantime, John, you just sit there and be quiet.
I will. Yeah.
I'll
drink my soda.
We'll have some thoughts. I wrote a story yesterday about the pitching is really carrying everything, and that it can get better, that it is sustainable. Because it's not going to be great for 162 games. Obviously, you can't have that. But then you recognize there are going to be the hiccups and everything that comes along with a baseball season. But you have veteran guys, even in the bullpen. Chris Martin is 39 years old here in a month. He's been around a while. Luke Jackson's been around a while. These guys have done it, and so you think they can sustain it. And what they're doing is really simple. They're just throwing quality strikes and not hurting themselves, which is like a staple of baseball. But then, why can't everybody do it?
Right.
Why can't everybody do it? So they're doing it. It's Mike Maddox's philosophy. It's everybody's philosophy, but he really has harped on it his whole career. So they're doing it. It looks good. It looks like it can be sustained, but it's really hard to win games 3-2, 4-3, and 1-0.
Yeah, well, and you cannot win a game if you've got the nothing, right? Like that's impossible. And the whole point is about Mike Maddox's message that that you referenced there. It's sometimes look, the reality is both things in baseball, hitting and pitching, are simple, right? Throw strikes.
Yeah.
such a simple approach.
Yeah.
Throw good quality
Yeah.
strikes.
Yeah, be great at what you do, and throw strikes. And you can't say it any better than that. But executing it is a requirement. And these guys can execute. They have a lot of pitches. They have a lot of different
We're doing
places
it
they can go to. So, just keep that up. That's the positive.
Very unfortunate development in the chat here.
Yeah, this
As
doesn't
we're
look
seeing, it seems like a silent movie. Our subtitles available. Prophet is working on this thing feverishly, and we'll see if we can get this corrected. You got an update over there, Prophet? Not yet? No? Okay.
Okay,
Well,
1 second.
yeah, you hear it there. Interesting.
Well, I don't know. I think we can keep talking because I can hear it a little bit.
Hold on 1 second. Let me. Y'all stop
Okay.
talking, and I'm gonna do something real quick. So just tell them.
So now the guy says we sound fine now. Paul says we sound fine now. All right.
How about now?
No.
Hello. I'm testing.
Okay, I think we keep going because I can hear it on my computer.
Okay, beautiful.
All right.
And some people apparently, definitely don't
Sound fine now.
fine.
No, we don't sound fine. Do we sound at all? Do we sound at all?
Can you hear us at all, Matt?
If we sound at all,
Of
great.
course, Matt. If Matt can't hear us, he can't answer. Can
That's a
he?
good point.
Heck of a point.
Prophet sounded great.
Oh, good. Yeah. We're nice to hear. Nice to hear that. The
All right.
Prophet
Well,
sounded good.
so anyway.
Yeah, back to the pitching.
Yeah.
Look, the reality is, it's a fairly simple approach, which is awesome. But as we've always said, it always comes down to execution. And what's happening right now is the pitchers are executing the game plan. To your point, though, it looks like obviously that Jacob deGrom did. His execution was there Friday. He gives up a leadoff home run in that game. And then 20 of the next three? 20
Yeah, he walked a guy and gave up 2 hits.
Yeah. So, he appears to be, but I'm not positive we've seen Nathan Eovaldi execute at his peak yet this season.
Against the Reds, probably in that shutout.
Yeah,
but,
that's
but,
right. That's
but
right.
Since
That was
then,
that's
no.
Right. Yeah.
But like he's not walking guys, so he's able to limit damage and pitch better. Rarities is saying the audio is better now.
Yeah,
so
and All About Sports Zone gives you the win.
Well, Matt, the biggest of the
Oh, there's bingo.
not the critics. He said bingo. All
Bingo.
right, let's play.
Beautiful.
But it's
B42.
but it's in the bullpen too, and you don't see guys getting walked in the bullpen. Chris Martin walked a guy yesterday, and I guess technically it affected the one run being scored. But I also think he walked Shohei Ohtani. Have you ever heard of him?
I've heard of him. He's pretty good.
Yeah. So I think that the pitching, without a question, has been the best part about the Rangers, who are 13-9, by the way.
Yeah.
And then I did see a question earlier from Paul, or a statement earlier from Paul. The Rangers got pitched to. They did get pitched to in this series. You're right. The Dodgers have good pitching, but the Rangers.
The Dodgers also got pitched to,
yeah,
right?
But the Rangers have also struggled all season. So, I think that's kind of what we're getting to. It's not necessarily the weekend, but I think within the weekend you can identify that the theme has continued. The Rangers have pitched really, really, really well, better than expected, and they haven't hit it all much worse than expected.
Way worse. And I mentioned in one of in the show description. So the Rangers have always been known as a team that hits, and as recently as I'm going to say 2022, maybe even I think it was 22. I was in Houston on a road trip, and one of their writers came up to me and said, "I just did a story about how many innings Astros pitchers who have been developed in our organization have thrown," and it was about a halfway through the season, maybe 3/4 of the way. through the season. And, theirs was astronomical. All their guys were, homegrown. And then I did one of how many the Rangers have thrown, with their own pitchers. And he goes, for the Rangers, it's 7. And I said, wait a minute. You're not counting Martin Perez then?
Yeah.
Because Martin had thrown. He goes, oh, yeah, okay. And then he went back and counted it, and he goes, oh, like it's 39 or, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it wasn't significantly higher. But it was the joke around baseball for forever that the Rangers couldn't develop pitching. Granted, several of the guys we're talking about are free agents, but the development is there too with Rocker and with Leiter in particular.
Yeah, and you got to have that. All teams need it. It's what is the foundation for a successful run into the playoffs. And you can spend and spend and spend, but if teams are trying to be at least a little bit financially responsible, like the Rangers are trying to by staying below the threshold, if you have 2 starting pitchers in the rotation who are making league minimum, that does a lot. That does a lot. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And you think about baseball history, the A's. The A's
Sure.
in the late '90s, early 2000s with Hudson, Mulder, and Zito. Kept them pretty good for a long time, and then the Mets in the mid 2010s there were good.
Even those Giants teams of Bruce Bochy,
absolutely,
all those guys
100%.
were young when they got
Lincecum and Matt Cain and Bumgarner. Those are all homegrown guys. So it's nice to see, and Jack is throwing his rehab start tomorrow in Round Rock, so you hope that goes well. You hope Rocker has to level this thing out.
Yeah.
How about a steady line instead of up down up down up down? Because that last one was really good.
It was fantastic
with all the the slider and the velocity and using multiple pitches. So these are all positive developments. But again, the pitching thing, it's just been so good, and so you hate to see it wasted.
Right. And technically, it hasn't been. I mean, obviously you can certainly point to games where it's been wasted, but big picture wise, you're still in first place in the American League West. Now, you could have a pretty good lead in the American League West, which, by the way, is looks like it might just haul off and be a tight division this year, with only about 3 games separating the top from the bottom in the division right now, as the A's are flirting with 500, and so are the Astros. And of course, it's the Rangers, Mariners, and Angels at the top. And, obviously the first 2 in particular are known, at least right now, the Rangers are, for their pitching. And this time of year, again, pitchers are often ahead of hitters early in the season.
Yeah, but not.
Yeah, we're a month in.
The lead should not be as big now.
Yeah,
And,
we're a month in.
The Mariners have started to hit a little bit. They had a pretty good series in Toronto, and so it's like you look at these stats. The Rangers have scored the fewest runs in baseball. Them and the Royals, 67 runs is all. That's unbelievable in 22 games.
That's bad.
That's 3 runs a game.
Yeah,
I'm smart enough to do that, man.
Yeah.
The on base percentage is dreadful. Only the White Sox are worse. So it's just these little things, and the Rangers have had the second fewest chances with runners in scoring position. So you can complain, well, they went 0 for 5 yesterday with runners in scoring position. That's not that's not a lot of at-bats.
No.
And then B, you got to get guys on.
Yes.
So I mean, it's not just like they're have the bases loaded every inning and are striking out and popping out. These are bases empty. They didn't get a runner to third base yesterday. The Rangers. And again, the Dodgers can pitch, and they pitched well all weekend. I get it, but you still gotta get guys on base and score, especially a lineup with all these names and stats and history.
And the only guy that's been doing it consistently, at least on the weekend, is Josh Smith.
Yeah,
and good for him. Thank goodness he's around. So lots more coming. You heard the bell. I hope you're hearing everything now. We talk offense next. We try to figure out this conundrum, and I like Malcolm's comment there about hit the like button if you think the Rangers will start hitting, or just hit the like button anyway. We'll talk hitting, we'll talk offense, And more about your Texas Rangers next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's time to consider those new floors. Look at this beautiful day out there. You know how great when you open that door or open those windows and let this spring breeze in here. You know how great it would look, just the wind and the spring aromas wafting across some beautiful new flooring. It would be great. It makes the whole house. That's the one thing about flooring too. Makes the whole house smell better anyway. So go to Empire today and let them do what they do. Let them give you a home field advantage. The Rangers have proven they have a really good home field advantage so far this year. All you have to do is go to Empire today and get yourself a home field advantage. Celebrate the spring and then, of course, the upcoming summer and beyond with new flooring. And it doesn't have to be the whole house. You can do it a room at a time. You can do it one room, and they'll come to the house and they'll take a picture of that room and they'll say, here's what a new floor would look like with your furniture and your walls and your draperies and all that. EmpireToday.com, $350 off if you use the code DLLS.
I'm pretty excited about this next one, John. It's the Lone Star Smokeout.
Wow, me too.
Yeah. I mean, what country music and barbecue. How's
it get much better?
That's as Lone
Think
Star
there's a beer
as it
around
gets. There better be.
Yeah.
Anyway,
as long as there's a beer around,
a cold beer.
Yeah.
The Lone Star Smokeout is coming to AT&T Stadium May 2nd through the 4th. That is during the next Rangers homestand. So if you go to the ballpark or slide on over to AT&T or vice versa, get to try barbecue from 14 teams across the U.S. to decide who's really the champ. So pair all of that food, with a Texas's biggest happy hour, all right, which sounds awfully darn inviting, Kentucky Derby Day, and Cinco de Mayo a day early because it's on the 5th.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's like a perfect storm of great events.
Yeah.
So anyway, stay tuned to DLLS for our upcoming VIP ticket giveaway. Kids 10 and under get in free. And general admission starts at just $68. Don't miss out. LoneStarSmokeout.com.
Sounds like one-stop shopping to me. And by the way, I hope this is going to, and again, I know it's always going to be an argument. North Carolina barbecue versus Kansas City barbecue versus St. Louis barbecue. I got news for you. There's not one of them that can compete with the way we do brisket in Texas. All those other guys, and I've traveled a ton. You know that. You have too.
Yeah.
All those other guys can do good barbecue, but it's mostly on the sauce, right? And it's like, that's a really good sauce. But pull all that sauce off, or don't dunk your meat in the sauce. It's not nearly as good. Our brisket's better. I'm just saying. It's about the meat in Texas. And by God, we smoke brisket and sausage and turkey and anything. Ribs better than all those other states. Done.
Yeah, I don't use sauce on any of my barbecue.
No, well, and to me, like if I make ribs, and I'm not that great, but I've kind of figured it out. I don't even put sauce out. Like you don't need sauce for these. Eat them. Yeah. People will go, you got barbecue sauce? Try it first. Because they're moist, they're tasty, right? I don't want to use sauce. Right. I'll use it.
Right.
I don't want to.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, and Kansas City's heavy sauce. You got any of those great places?
Yeah, and they're good. They're good. Yeah,
it's like try our sauces. Like, all right, we'll try them, but you can do.
I could put your sauce on, just a hunk of roast beef, or I could put it on, anything, and that whatever that is would probably be pretty good because you got nice sauce.
All right, so we agree.
We diverted, but that's what a smokeout will do to you.
That's right. I think I'm going to try to go.
We're going to be around there anyway. So, I mean, that's truly, for us, that's truly one-stop shopping.
We could walk.
Yeah.
All right.
So, are they both day games the weekend, though?
Well, I'm going to look.
Yeah, that's nice. We'll figure that out. Let's talk about the offense, and I hope I haven't offended as we start with offense anyone, but I think we're all Texans here, so we're okay. I say that, if Dino's in there from Australia, maybe he's got strong opinions about Australian barbecue, But anyway, here we are as a team that's supposed to hit, a team that was built to hit, a team that has proven it can hit, a team that spent last year waiting to hit, and suddenly it's a team that can't hit. And it's just like that word to me is wrong. It can't. It can.
Yeah.
It can't. I just don't. I can't explain it. Here's where can't comes in. I can't explain it. It seems like there's this breakout moment. Now maybe Corey Seager's starting to get hot. Maybe that will be the breakthrough, if you will, moment. Maybe all those hard hit balls yesterday, becomes something of a breakthrough moment. But it's really strange for me that this offense continues to just, meh.
Yeah, and it's not now. Now it's to the point where it's not just the start of the season, because last season it wasn't very good either. So now you start to wonder what's the carryover effect, and the one commonality would be the hitting coach. Now I don't know that that in today's day and age these guys have their own hitting coaches in a lot of cases. So maybe you look at the guys who rely strictly on Rangers hitting coaches and look at them and be like, oh, okay, he's doing all right. Like, but I don't know all the intricacies of it now. They just hired Justin Veely who was Donnie Ecker's good buddy, and protege. They're of the same hitting mind, So if you make a change, it's not like you just go from the offensive coordinator to the hitting coach, because it's the same thing. So then where do you go? Do you go to the minor league hitting coordinator, Cody Atkinson? Do you try to go outside the organization? Do you just, is that a possibility? And I think at some point you got to think it will be. I think, if you kind of look back in Rangers history, with when certain hitters have been sent down, because they just struggled and didn't get it figured out. It's usually late April, early May, and the two that are fresh on my mind are Leody Taveras in 2021, when he was just lost, and he finally got sent down. Like April 26th, somewhere in that range. And then in 15, Rougned Odor was terrible for the first 5 or 6 weeks before he got sent down in early May. And he came back and was really, really good. Leody came back and was better. So it's like, all right, but you can't send everybody down.
No.
That's the thing. Marcus Semien can't be sent down.
Yeah.
Jock Peterson can't be sent down. So how do you manage them? And try to get them straight. Is it like, drop them in the order? Does that help? I mean, the bottom of the order has been really good.
It has, and and Boch has been trying the things you usually do, right? The managerial tricks, if you will. That he put Peterson in the leadoff spot the one day to maybe jumpstart him. He let Peterson sit out yesterday to maybe jumpstart him. It's like all these maneuvers, all these things that managers typically try to do. He's trying, right? So there's only so much a manager can do. There's also only so much a hitting coach can do. Now, it was a completely different situation, but it seems like it was a little later in the year than this. But in 2011, the Rangers fired their pitching coach.
Their hitting coach.
I'm sorry, their hitting coach.
Thad Bosley.
Yeah,
it was a different situation.
Yeah, it was, because there was a disconnect with his personality,
right,
and the hitters that were
right,
there.
and so that was kind of there. Nobody that I've heard dislikes Donnie.
No,
or has any issues with him, and it's not a matter of these guys not trying. I finally was able to track down Corey Seager yesterday, and he said we're all competing. We're all up there trying to compete, but you kind of look at the at bats; they're generally quick at bats, and you look at runners in scoring position. Are these guys, I think, are these guys shortening up? Are they changing their approach at all? Are they just trying to put the ball in play, or are they still trying to drive it? And there are counts and times where you absolutely want these guys to drive the ball, but there are also times when this team's not scoring runs. You're like, gosh, maybe we should go ahead and just move them up 90 feet. or hit it the other way to right field. Do something to put some pressure on the opposing team and the opposing pitcher. I thought, and I was looking this up as it happened, I thought after Wyatt Langford beat up that ball for the hit, Kevin Pillar was next as a pinch hitter. It's like, well, maybe they would bunt Pillar. He's only bunted. He only has 13 sacrifice bunts in his career. And he only has one since 2017, I think it was. So it's like, all right, could he still get one down?
Yeah.
Could you have moved him to second and put some pressure on Tanner Scott? I don't know, maybe, but it just seems like, and that would be a coaching thing then at that point. That would be, hey, let's see if we can get a bunt down. But then I guess Bruce Bochy knew that Kevin Pillar's maybe he's not a great bunter.
Yeah.
So it just seems like that even in the situations where something looks like it could be done baseball wise, like a hit and run or something like that, it's not the right personnel up, or the wrong guys on first base. It just seems like, and then do you want to be making outs on the bases at that point? I get it all, but it just seems like at some point something's got to start to give. And I think the first thing yesterday, the first sign toward that was Dustin Harris.
Yep.
Playing for Leody Taveras. And Bruce Bochy said before the game, Harris has been swinging the bat better than Leody, and so we're sticking with Dustin, right? And he went out there, he played a good center field, didn't do a lot at the plate, although he almost beat out a chopper to first, I mean, he's fast, he's athletic, but so maybe that's the first shoe to drop. But I do think that, in that original lineup that had been drawn up before Wyatt was activated, Jock Peterson was batting 7th. So maybe that's the next move. At some point, move him down. Do you at some point go ahead and say, all right, Josh Smith is our hottest hitter. We need to get
him lead off.
We need to bat him first.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody's got to be on base ahead of Corey Seager, who crushed 2 balls yesterday and almost took the pitcher's hand off with one of them and almost knocked over the right fielder with another. But he is hitting the ball hard. Got robbed of a home run Saturday. So, I mean, this guy is just he's in a groove. And so getting just one guy on base for him, if he hits a gap, Josh Smith's going to score from first. That kind of thing. So, and at this point, when you're not scoring runs, you got to do whatever you can to get 1 or 2 across.
You do.
So we'll see what happens. But I think that, yesterday, Bruce Bochy was late coming into the manager's post-game press conference because they were talking about it. And he said, we're going to go talk about it some more. They have an off day today. What are they going to do? Well, they're probably going to talk about it, and if not, it's definitely going to be on their minds. So I think that change is coming.
Yeah, and it begs the question too with regard to Donnie Ecker, who again I agree. I think everybody likes him, but he is, as we've talked about, when you talk to him, you feel like you're learning, right? Because he definitely speaks on a level that's not intentionally, not trying to talk down to people, not trying to be condescending, but his ideas and his thought processes are deep. And they're up here. They're on a different level than most of the baseball talk we hear. And I just wonder if maybe, if it is up here, it's kind of just going over the players' heads.
He had talked. He was talking Friday before the game about Yamamoto and the splitter, and how hard it is to lay off of him. But if the Rangers can lay off of him, it's going to be a big advantage, and it could help determine the outcome of the game. Well, they couldn't lay off of him. I mean, he's had 9 strikeouts, and a lot of them were on that pitch. And it's a great pitch, and it's tricky. And if you're behind in the count, you get it. If you're laying off of it early in the count, maybe you get ahead. But, is that on him? It sounds like that would have been what he told the hitters to do. Hey, let's try to lay off the splitter, and maybe they couldn't execute it. But, the thing with runners in scoring positions, again, is that an approach thing? Does something have to change there? It's just there's a lot of ways to go, and patience, being patient, waiting on these guys, as Corey Seager said needs to be done. Just kind of have to ride it out. Well, it's a tough ride right now.
It is.
But they are still above 500.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
They're still above 500.
Place.
So But I agree, and I think that it needs to end pretty quickly.
Yeah. Another theory to discuss regarding the hitting, maybe it's a big picture conspiracy theory, as we continue this talk about the hitting, the offense of the Texas Rangers, which has been downright offensive. We talk about it next as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Tell you what, John, that segment went fast.
It did swing by quickly, and it has us both wondering what we're doing. Oh, you're doing Sleeper.
Oh, Sleeper.
Jeff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sleeper. I don't know if anybody in the country does Sleeper more than I do. I'm just going to leave it out there. Now, again, I'm talking about frequency, not necessarily amount of money I put on the line. But it's daily picks, and it just makes everything much more enjoyable. I haven't taken a look yet. Today, I had a rough day yesterday. I did not win yesterday, but that's okay. It was only $8 that went down the tubes. You can do it for as little as $1. It's daily picks. Will Corey Seager have more or less than half a hit? If you think he's going to have a hit, you hit more. You get multipliers and all that stuff, and that's how you end up with your final payout. It's great. NBA playoffs are going now, NHL playoffs. They do golf now. Lots of things to do in addition to Major League Baseball. So use the code DLLS Rangers, and Sleeper will match up to $100 on your first deposit.
You know who's coming to Arlington in AT&T Stadium specifically this weekend?
I don't.
You need to get Nicole into your
Into
life
my life
a little bit. Nicole let me know that it's Kendrick Lamar
Oh,
playing another big stadium. Kendrick Lamar will play a big stadium on you, as he did at the Super Bowl. So you could get tickets to Kendrick Lamar coming this weekend to AT&T Stadium. Let me see what we've got here. Yeah, you got to shell out a few bucks to see Kendrick Lamar. You don't get controversy for free. Looks like the cheapest right now for Kendrick is the most expensive, maybe $141. But I think for a concert in this day and age, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Highest one I saw was $396. So, and what I'm looking at here is the same thing you're seeing on your screen, because I think that is AT&T Stadium, and I'm seeing the same diagram here for Kendrick Lamar, although it's a slightly different configuration with the stage. But they show it all to you right there, GameTime.com. Use the code DLLS, $20 off your first purchase at GameTime.
tell you what, John, we struggled with our ad reads today.
Yeah, we haven't been great. No.
Change needs to be made.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to get in trouble for this, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay. We'll be better. We'll be better next read, I promise.
Yes.
So here's my conspiracy theory.
I enjoy it.
Big one. Big
Okay.
picture. Could
Okay.
be the Rangers. Maybe it's everybody. My thought right now is that in some ways, and I hate to criticize this apparatus for lack of a better word, I hate to criticize this thing in any way, because I love me some 2 hour and 15-minute, 2 hour and a half games. But is the pitch clock? Obviously, it has a tremendous effect on the pitchers. It has an effect on the hitters, but typically the thought is it's not much of a negative effect. But you were mentioning in the last segment about even Corey Seager acknowledging a lot of these are very short at bats, right? Is the presence of the pitch clock, has it created an atmosphere where not only are the pitchers moving faster, but the hitters feel a little bit of that urgency too? It just doesn't seem like we have nearly as many 12 pitch at bats, 14 pitch at bats, 10 pitch at bats. I'm not saying they don't exist. It just doesn't seem like we have as many. And of course, the more pitches that are thrown to you, the more pitches you and your other teammates are seeing from that pitcher. So we'd probably have to do a little research to find out if that's been the case. That is what my eyeballs tell me right now, Jeff.
I think it varies on hitter to hitter. Like Corey Seager,
he never
leaves the batter's box.
Yeah.
Never takes the timeout. But also, Corey Seager generally is hacking at the first two.
I was
going to
say Corey Seager's never had a 14 pitch at bat in his life.
Yeah. He's out of there pretty quick. And then you get told a guy like Adolis who swings and swings. I don't know who is the most patient Rangers hitter. would it be Wyatt Langford?
I'd say it's Wyatt.
Who is
But
it?
again, Mr. Full Count, who's not back up yet, he might have something to say when he gets here.
Right, but it's just I don't know that there are a bunch of hitters who are built that way. Maybe that's a philosophy game approach thing. You know, the Rangers, and this is kind of something that's been said, you know, throughout the years is, well, you know, why take the first pitch? Sometimes the first pitch is the best pitch you're going to get. You got to be ready when the moment you sit in the batter's box. All right, that's true, but you know, and then is a strike? Is it really the pitch that you're going to drive, or is it just a strike that is a pitcher's pitch? And it just so I don't know. It seems maybe some guys do need a reset. Maybe Tony Beasley needs to get the flash the take sign a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the deal is. You know, you remember and this wasn't that long ago, and it was like if you were behind in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, you didn't swing until the pitcher threw a strike. You got in the batter's box knowing it was a take until somebody threw a strike.
Absolutely.
You don't see that anymore.
No, and that annoys me too. Like if
yeah.
a guy comes out and he walks a guy on 4 pitches, and then somebody comes to the plate and swings at the first pitch, I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
He can't find the plate.
Right. And it just seems like 2-0, 3-1, automatic swings no matter what.
I know.
And it's like they're kind of hunting but guessing for a fastball. And you just see it more and more these days. You do not get 3-0, 3-1, 2-0 cookies anymore. They will throw you a slider or an off-speed pitch because they know that you're swinging.
Yeah.
You know, and it just seems like a couple little adjustments. And, you know, you don't want to take aggression away from guys if that's who they are. But if that's not who they are, then let them be who they are and see what happens. I mean, what can it hurt at this point?
There were 2 or 3 instances yesterday where guys actually swung at, and, you know, I mean, again, you know, they're facing a pretty good curveball from Glasnow. But they swung at pitches that didn't even make it to the plate. They landed in the dirt before the plate. And Mike Bassick was talking about it on the broadcast. And I think the answer to that is simply you have to decide so soon as a hitter if you're swinging at that pitch. And he does a good enough job making it look like all the other pitches,
right,
that this thing comes in, and when it lands, you're like, what is he thinking? But the reality is he decided, you know, when the ball was still here. That's the hardest thing about this process.
Yeah, no, I mean, hitting's not easy. It's the hardest thing to do in sports, and recognizing pitches. You know, you have a split second, you know, to see the hand. You know, if the hand's like this, okay. If it's like this, okay. And maybe you have a little bit while longer to see the spin, but you know there are guys who, you know, they say, oh, it was a ball coming out. It was, you know, and pitchers will say, oh yeah, it was a ball out of my hand. It wasn't a competitive pitch. So they know there are guys that are able to do that. You know, so but maybe it is just slug, and the art of hitting has been lost or never taught to a lot of these guys. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but it just is. I mean, we're searching for answers here.
We are.
And here's the thing: Bruce Bochy is, Donnie Ecker is.
Yep.
You know, Jock Peterson sure the heck is.
Yep.
They're looking for anything.
Yeah.
And you know, and the thing is that it's 22 games now, so that's 3 weeks of baseball. It is still early. The Rangers have 140 games left to go. All right. They're not going to hit like this the rest of the season. You wouldn't think. But we said, like you said last week, we were saying that exact same thing last year. And boy, you know, if you look at this month as a continuation of 2024, then maybe, something is wrong. And, you know, I don't want anybody to lose his job.
Nope.
But how much longer, how much more patience is there with the status quo? Because again, if you include last year, this looks a lot like the status quo.
It does.
This has actually probably been worse than last year, I would think. But
Yeah, because they addressed it with off-season acquisitions. You know.
Yeah, and they haven't hit. So I'm not sure. It'll be an interesting road trip. It'll be an interesting couple days. From last night until first pitch tomorrow, to see what things are going to happen. And you see a couple people have mentioned that the A's are pitching very poorly, and this ballpark, it looks like it's a hitter's ballpark. We'll see. I mean, you could say that about a lot of teams. Oh, don't worry about it. The White Sox are coming to town. And then what happened? What happened last year? The White Sox played the Rangers as competitively as any team out there.
Yeah.
The Rangers won every game.
They won them, but they were one-run games.
games.
Our boy out there making a circus catch. Yeah. So it's a confounding thing. It's probably going to turn around, but at some point, and truly, like Jeff said, the Rangers, the coaches, the players, everybody, they're doing everything they can to make this thing turn around. And suddenly we'll look up and it will have turned around. Power rankings are out this week. We kind of go over them every week. We won't spend too much time on them. A lot hasn't changed at the top. Dodgers, Padres, 1 and 2 as they were last week. Number 3 is now the Mets, who move up from 4. Mets have been playing well, and Juan Soto says he's found it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he says he's found it. Whatever he lost, he found it. Cubs are up. I mean, they were only up one spot. They were 5 last week. They're 4. Phillies fell a little bit. They're at 5. 6 is the first American League team. That would be the New York Yankees, who are off to a really good start, despite what a lot of the pundits thought about them this year. Giants were 6 last week. They're 7 this week. The Detroit Tigers are at 8. They were at 8 last week, too. Tigers played well, though, all week long. And they got the Padres coming in, too, which should be a fun series. Diamondbacks.
Let's go ahead and call the World Series preview.
Yeah, it might be. We called yesterday that. So Diamondbacks are up from 10 to 9, which means what? Your Texas Rangers are in 10th. They've moved from 9th.
Okay.
Not bad. Again, because the truth is, I know the power ranking doesn't just talk about bats and power, but they've shown no power. I mean, the Rangers are not a powerful offensive team right now, but the power ranking considers everything, and they're still considered a top 10 team. And certainly their pitching, as we said at the beginning of the show, like a top 2, 3, 4 team.
All right, so then let's back it off a little bit here and consider the 30,000-foot view, which is what those are from national people.
Of course.
All right, they still look at the lineup. They look at the pitching. They see the hitting, and they're probably like, meh, I don't think that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, and maybe they're hedging a little bit because the Rangers have dropped throughout here, but maybe they're like, you know what? They're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but hey, who am I to say? But again, just common sense tells you 2 things. It tells you, hey, these guys are going to get better. And they are. Jock Peterson's not going to bat 055 all season. But then common sense also says, hey, didn't this happen last year?
Yeah.
So there are a couple things we're juggling here.
I've told people, fans and stuff, when they ask me, I've told them, I wouldn't hedge this at all if it weren't for last year. The only reason I even say, otherwise I'd just say, fear not, the offense will come around.
Yeah.
Fear not. That's always the answer. The offense will come around. The offense will come around. Then last year happened, and I feel like I can't with confidence say it, even though that's really last year offensively. Last year is the aberration. So, we'll see what happens there. Another one of those 30,000-foot views out there. I like to look at these when MLB.com puts them out. They said the best newcomer for each team, and we won't go over all of them, but who do you think they would have picked? It's not just a young player. It's anybody new to a team. Who do you think they would have picked as the best newcomer to the Texas Rangers this year?
Well, I think they probably would have said Jock Peterson.
No, I mean based on the first 22 games.
Based on the first 22 games.
on what they've done throughout.
Luke Jackson.
Yep, that's exactly who they picked. Luke Jackson, who had one bad game. That's it. Yeah. And even that wasn't even a bad game. It was a bad pitch. Yeah,
it's kind of sticks out.
Yeah, it does. It's memorable. But anyway, I thought that was fun and interesting to see. And there's the bell, which means it's almost time for us to get to our cleanup segment. Hell, we cleaned up the audio issues. See if we can clean everything else up in baseball. Next, the DLLS Rangers podcast. Holy crap, have you heard about our $36 deal?
I've heard about it.
It's the die-hard deal of the century. $36, and it's all in honor of this being NFL Draft Week. And you'll get all the content that we provide for you through our website, alldlls.com. All the content that is there is fantastic, and you get it for $36. I think that the Sunday newspaper is up to $36. I mean, I don't know if it's quite that high.
It's
but
pretty expensive.
It's getting close, right? I don't know that you could get a month of the newspaper, much less a year, for $36. And I damn sure know this. The newspaper's not going to send you a T-shirt. We will. We'll send you a $35 T-shirt and give you all this content and give you 20% off all of your events and all the things that we do if you'll just become a diehard. So sign up today. Become a diehard. It's such a great value, and I promise you won't regret it. All DLLS.com.
And that $36, you get a free $35 T-shirt.
Yep.
So it's like $1 this whole thing. You're getting a T-shirt and 12 months of kick-ass coverage. John is merched up today. I am as well underneath. I was chilly. It was a little chilly
Jeff's
in my
always
doctor's
cold.
room. Anyway, this is the
That's the win column?
win column one. Yeah, it looked very plain on the front.
Or is that baseball
It's
time?
baseball time in
baseball
Texas.
Time. Yeah.
The back is what makes that shirt. But anyway, they're great shirts. They're comfortable shirts. I wore one yesterday. I slept in one overnight. I'm wearing one again today. I even worked out in one once.
Did you?
And it was fine. So these are all-purpose
It didn't
shirts.
hold that stink?
It did not hold the stink. The
Nice.
stink was gone. All-purpose shirts. And it's a unique way to show your fandom. You know, these aren't something you can get in the gift shop out there in center field at the ballpark or at fanatics.com or whatever. These are one-of-a-kind shirts. And if you want to stand out as a fan, and if you want to be smarter than the rest of the fans, become a diehard and go to store.allcitynetwork.com for your shirt.
Yeah, we'd like it. We'd love you to do that. And, when we see you, we'll give you that, knowing that. We'd probably do more than that. We'll run up and thank you and take a picture with you. So, man, did you see that collision with Luis Ariz last?
I only heard about it. I was dealing with a flat tire at the time.
Well, you should pull it up and just look at it. Is, and he, it's a classic second baseman coming over to first. Ariz is busting it down the first base line, and second baseman arrives just at the point that Ariz does, and Ariz just bam, and he was off on a stretcher. Didn't know where he was. I mean, it was one of those. We've seen it so many times in football, but one of those things that's so very, very scary. And anyway, that happened in the first inning, and he was back. Went to the hospital there in Houston, got everything back, and he was back at the ballpark later in the game. Made it to the end of the game.
Yeah, he had to stay in Houston overnight.
Yeah.
He was going to fly to Detroit here today. And the thing about Ariz is he's not a big dude.
No.
He is little. I know he plays first base, but he doesn't really have a position. He's a little guy. So glad he's okay. He's a great hitter.
He's a great hitter.
And kind of actual hitter, and the art of hitting. And so that's fun. That is scary. You don't see it a lot in our game either. Obviously, you see guys get carted off the field all the time in baseball.
In football, you mean? Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And so glad he's going to be okay. But yeah, I just saw it. Yeah, and it's like he ran into a brick wall.
It is, and the reality is, in the way he's running to first, he's more of the brick wall in some ways. Bond was just kind of there, but at that point, with all the momentum he has, I mean, it was like Rise hit him and just flew backwards. And, DeBon just kind of fell. I mean, I think he was banged up a little bit too, but he just kind of fell.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a big collision. And look, that's one of the reasons they've made changes, to the base running and to the size of the bases and those things. Size of the bases in particular, I think, because they're trying to avoid those collisions at first base, which could happen on every play.
Yeah, and they have they're prevalent in softball, the safety bases.
Yeah.
Where you have the one for the base runner and the one for the fielder.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need to go to that extreme here, but they are. They're in college baseball. I think they have the double bases, so maybe something to consider. But again, how often does this happen?
Yeah, no, not that often.
Yeah,
not that often. The bigger bases will probably helped some. I'm sure that MLB studies it, and they've got people to do that. So anyway, we'll hope they do. How about the Brewers yesterday? And again, we've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of the stolen base. I'm a big fan of small ball. I'm a big fan of creating offensive opportunities for yourself. I think the Rangers are doing that, as much as they can to try and get out of this offensive funk. But they're not doing it quite as much as the Brewers did yesterday, Jeff. An MLB modern day, or what is it?
Modern era?
I think it might be modern era record. 9 stolen bases in a game.
That's a lot.
6 in an inning.
Holy moly.
6 in the first inning of the game. And, the Brewers are just like, that's the way we play. That's our identity. That's what we're doing. It's the first time anybody has stolen 6 bases in an inning since like 1919. And they began keeping this record in 1961.
Oh.
And so anyway, that's
who did they play?
Brewers played. I got it over here. Stand by.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Reds, I think.
No, the Reds have won 24-2.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They played the A's. Hey.
Oh, the A's.
Hey, here you go. There you go. So maybe the Rangers can run like crazy. Of course, it's very, very, very hard to blame the starting pitcher for that. However, the A's started a left-hander.
Right.
So in the first inning, all these stolen bases were against a left-hander.
When he's looking
Jeffrey
first base.
Springs, the former Rangers draftee and super nice guy who had Tommy John surgery but has become a handy guy. But, yeah, you're talking – okay, so Terang – well, Jesus, he stole 3 bases.
Yeah.
So Springs ended up pitching into the third. William Contreras, the catcher, not exactly a speed demon, stole third base. Rhys Hawkins, not exactly a speed demon. He stole second base. Now, maybe that was on the back of a double steal or something. I didn't see it, but man, that is rough.
Yeah. And again, you can forgive Springs or a lefty if they're stealing third on you. I mean, you still can't, but okay. But not stealing first, especially once there's a runner on.
Well,
I don't know how that's happening, but I like it. I mean, and I like the mentality, and I like the fact that obviously some of these managers are saying sort of, analytics be damned, right?
Yeah.
Because analytics don't like the steal.
Right. But and Bruce Bochy was asked about this the other day. Our team's shying away from, has it become all about the slug and all this stuff? And he said, I think now you're seeing a lot less of that because teams are trying to steal bases. And, I'm telling you, if the Rangers need to get a run across and it's the right personnel, steal second and bunt them to third.
Sure.
Hell.
Yeah.
What? Just try something like that. But I think that I like the stolen base being back. And I tell you, I think it's really surprised a lot of pitchers because you see a lot of pitchers who aren't very good at holding runners.
Right.
And the Rangers have worked on that over the first 3 weeks. And it's gotten better. I think their catchers actually threw out some runners here in the past week. which is a step in the right direction. And I'll tell you another thing. I think this is something that I haven't asked specifically about it, but something that I've noticed. A lot more interference calls on the batter.
Wow.
Are being made.
Yes.
At home plate on the throws. I thought the one yesterday when Adolis's backswing hit Austin Barnes and Josh Smith had to go back to first after stealing second. I thought that one was a little too far. I mean, the catcher is moving into the batter.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Adolis was in the middle of the plate and hit him with the bat. I don't know. I thought that was, but it has happened a lot more. You've seen it a lot more.
Yeah, it's and maybe I don't know. I know there weren't many, if any, rule changes this year, but maybe sometimes the umpires are given a sort of a mandate to focus on certain things more, and maybe that's been one of the focuses because I've never seen this many batter interference calls as we've seen this year.
So maybe that's a way to combat the stolen base that is being enforced now by umpires.
Yeah, certainly the Rangers lost a stolen base because Josh was safe there, so they definitely lost a stolen base yesterday. How about the story of Liam Hendriks?
That's great.
2 years out of the game and back to pitching. I mean,
that's terrific. And you know, he had the cancer that he overcame. He was hurt last year, had the rehab assignment, and during his rehab assignment, he ran out a food truck for not just the minor league team, but for the home team, if you will, because they were the home team, I believe, in that scenario. And then all the stadium employees.
Oh, that's
he just rented out a food truck for everybody in the ballpark who worked there and the players. So that's pretty cool. Probably very grateful.
Yeah.
But a good guy. And he was a really good closer there for a while.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so, and the, the whole place was emotional. He was emotional. I mean, to get an opportunity to do this after all that. I think it was like 635 days or something like that. I mean, that's a tremendous stretch of days between opportunities at this level, but we'll hope really, that he continues to recover and does well and can, stick with it here at this level.
Yeah, you always root for a guy like that.
Yeah, 100%. And then, did you see the call-up? Did you see about the call-up of Colorado Rocky, Jeff? This is in your wheelhouse.
Ooh.
Named Zach Agnos, Agnos.
No, that's an all right name, though.
Zach was called up, I think, this weekend. I was trying to see if it was yesterday. It might even make it more special. Zach was called up this weekend. And, of course, the first call he makes is to his mom.
Yeah.
Well, his mom was in Virginia, and she was with her dad, of course, Zach's grandpa, who had just entered hospice.
Oh, no.
Well, his dad, his grandpa, I should say, her dad, is a man named George Miller, who played in the Rangers, actually the Senators organization.
Oh, wow.
In the early 60s. He played in two or three organizations, never got higher than AA, but still, he was in the Senators organization. And George Miller always quizzed Zach Agnos, what's the best pitch? Since he's a little boy, what's the best pitch? What's the best pitch? And, of course, the answer to what's the best pitch is a strike.
Right.
That's the best pitch, a strike. So anyway, when Zach got on the phone with his mom, she said, "I'm here with Grandpa." She turned the phone around, and Zach said to his grandpa, who's, on his deathbed, what's the best pitch? And his grandpa said, a strike. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's how he and, of course, tears all around the place as he was able to share that news, with his grandpa. So I get chills telling that story. I think that's a fantastic. I love so many of these different instances of not only how they hear about being called up, but then how they tell people and who they tell.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Well, that's a heck of a story there. Yeah, and great timing too.
Yeah. Right before, and who knows? I don't know if Mr. Miller. Maybe he'll have a chance to. Hopefully, had a chance to see his son play or his grandson play at the major league level. But anyway, the Rangers are off to California. They take on the A's beginning tomorrow for 3 games in Sacramento, and then back to San Francisco Bruce Bochy's old stomping grounds, where they will take on the Giants. And by the way, one of those 30,000-foot view things, MLB highlights, I think, every week, the 5 series to watch this week. And that's one of them, the Rangers and the Giants this week, a series to watch with all of the implications, the fact that both teams are playing quite well to start the season, and, of course, the return of Bruce Bochy to his old stomping grounds in San Francisco. So we're here the next 2 days at noon, and then we will be here for a post-game show on Thursday night. That is getaway day as they leave Sacramento and head to San Francisco. So we'll be here, right around 11:45, 11:30, 11:45 on Thursday night. We hope you'll join us then, as well as tomorrow and Wednesday at noon. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all city like the mayor.